On this Monday night, another edition of Knicks Weekly presented by Manscaped, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's a lot of ugly right now as it pertains to the Knicks. CP the franchise here, Alex Rotaro's special guest, Anthony MSG, comes back to the show. And we got a lot to talk about, man. I mean, this team is at 6-7 right now, but there's a lot going on. I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And will Tom Thibodeau survive what seems to be a sinking ship? And that's going to be the topic of tonight's show. I want to hear from everybody. Call us up, 657-383-1509, or hit us up on the KnicksFanTV Discord. Let's get into it, man. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. A little late tonight, but good things come to those who wait, man. So appreciate everybody in the chat for being patient. And how you doing, man? Well, welcome back to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, CP. Really appreciate it. I will not be falling asleep this time.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, that was not intentional. I was not bored. I just ran 20 miles a few hours before, and no matter how good a shape you're in, there's nothing normal about running 20 miles.
Yeah.
So I was very tired. I know we scheduled that show for like 2 weeks in advance. So like, if I didn't realize how much that was going to knock me out, but I'm good. It's good to be here. It's funny because so many times, I'm saying the last 20 years, I'm going to get the guy on Twitter mad. The Knicks have been like 8 games under 500 around this time, 7 games under 500. But right now the Knicks are 6-7, but it feels like we're 0-30.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't feel good. I hate the way we're playing basketball. I hate our defense. I mean, obviously everybody hates our defense. And, as playing basketball on any level, then you don't even have to play lockdown defense. If you just get hands up and shooters, guys are going to miss shots. It's not the 90s. It's not the early 2000s anymore where you could leave guys open from 3 and law of averages, guys will miss. It's a different era of basketball. You leave guys open, guys will make shots. So, for example, when someone drives to the basket and they miss a layup and you're shocked. Like, oh, my God, I can't believe you just missed that layup. Well, that's how I feel when teams miss threes against us. Like, when a team misses a 3 against the New York Knicks, I'm shocked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, in 1998 or even in 2004, 2005, you could leave shooters open from 3 with the exception of Ray Allen or Mark Price or Allen Houston, a couple other guys. Sure, take 3s. They're going to miss a lot. No matter how good of shooters they are, they're going to miss a lot of 3s. That's not the case anymore. And Tom Thibodeau, who I love, who I want to adapt, I'm rooting for Thibs. I'm rooting for Thibs' beard. I love Thibs. As a person, I love his fire. I love his desire. I love he came from Van Gundy. I want Thibs to adapt. I want Thibs who loves basketball, who sits home with a frozen pizza and, studies game. And the man is a basketball savant. So how is he not figured out? You don't have to play 1997 Knicks defense, but you could figure out a way to get hands up in shooters' faces. And the New York Knicks are not doing that. And like I said, the league is different. It's 2022. 90% of the league can shoot 3-pointers now. You could leave Dale Davis open from 3. You could leave P.J. Brown open. You could leave 4s open back in the day. You could even leave some 2s and 3s open back in the day. You can't leave anybody open from 3 anymore, which is why zone defenses aren't maybe as effective because everybody can shoot. So with the way Thibs is such a basketball savant, why is he not adapting to that? And I want to defend him so much because I really just like the guy. It's not even bad. I like him. I don't even know him. I just like the guy. But he's failing me right now, and he's failing this team. And if he doesn't figure it out, he may be on the unemployment line in a couple of weeks. But he's got to figure it out.
It's big facts, man. It's big facts. And as you said, they're at 6-7, but it feels a lot worse.
Oh,
because we've seen this story before, bro. When he's already coming off the 37 wins season last year, which is a down year from the year before that. Yes, he won Coach of the Year 2 years ago, but that's long gone.
Let me tell you
all
something,
that
Timmy,
has
sorry.
all that
The
he's
worst
bought
thing-
is gone. Good.
One of the worst things to happen to the New York Knicks the last 3 years, even though it was so much fun, was that season 2 years ago. Because we totally overachieved. We were playing in open gyms. Julius Randle was looking like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson combined, playing in front of no fans. As fun as that season was, and for me personally, it was so much fun. Coming off my tragedy, that season was probably one of the worst things to happen to the Knicks.
100% agree. And so it's just, as I said, they're 6-7, 2-2 this week. They come off a win in Minnesota against a Timberwolves team that's still trying to figure themselves out, but Knicks were raining threes on them. They put up 120 points in Minnesota. Come back, letdown game against the Nets. They beat the Pistons, team that they should have beat, and kind of squeaked by there. And then you have this. Some people want to. I had somebody tell me that this OKC game should have been seen as an offensive shootout. I'm like, my man, they gave up 145 points in regulation to this Thunder team. That is embarrassing. I don't care what you want to call it. That is embarrassing. And it just seems like, Robert Randolph and I were debating a little bit this morning. Robert Randolph, the Friday Night Knicks guy, do it just to get there. He's like, well, this is who we thought they were, around 500 team. I said, but the way you lose matters.
It does.
The way you lose matters because when they have
you could
these
be 6-7 and feel good sometimes.
Right.
It's like what Rosie Perez said when she was in bed with Billy Ho. Sometimes when you win, you really lose.
Right.
And sometimes when you lose, you really win. Now get her the glass of water. I still don't know what the glass of water thing meant, but anyway.
100%. And so it's just the lack of effort, the lack of accountability consistently. Yesterday wasn't their first embarrassing loss. The Hawks game was embarrassing. The Nets game was embarrassing. They've had several of these games already, 13 games into the season. So, Al, I'll go to you, man. I mean, what are you thinking about in regards to what we've seen with Thibs right now, and can he survive this thing? What do you think?
Look, man, we talked about it yesterday on this the West Coast trip that's coming up. It's not looking good, man. I mean, we got the Utah Jazz and the Denver Nuggets back to back. Utah, it's very tough for us. Denver, we haven't won in God knows how long.
Since 06, when Jamal Crawford did that crazy shot with Gus Johnson on the call.
Oh, my God. So that just gives you an indication of those two games. That's back to back. Then we got the Warriors that you're going to be at, CP, on Friday. And then you got the Suns on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and then you got the Thunder again in their hometown.
Oh.
Right. And and then you go back, and then it keeps going down the line of like, you're going to have the Trailblazers at some point. You have the Bucks to finish out the month. You got Detroit. You got the only winnable game that's sprinkled in there to me is Detroit. We could beat OKC, but I just watched OKC play the Celtics tonight, and they're a good team, dude. Like I'm giving OKC like everything. Like the Celtics won because they just clamped down and played good defense to close out.
Yeah, OKC played them tough,
but OKC is a good team, so I'm not even confident that we can go into OKC and win that game. It's going to be it's a rough stretch, man, for this upcoming slate of games. You also got Memphis in there as well. It's just tough. I don't see how Thibs. You got to win some of these games. You got to win games that you're just not expected to win if you're the Knicks at this point, because there's no way Thibs can come home after a bad West Coast trip and then finish off this month only winning against Detroit, which on paper is the most winnable game for the Knicks, and then say you're safe going in for the remainder of the season. Yeah. That's just tough for me to say.
No question, man. I got to get to this Ian Begley soundbite from yesterday. Shout out to our guy, Ian Begley, Knicks Insider with SNY TV. This was Ian's thoughts on Thibs and Thibs' future with the team, man. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys.
In Utah, so how warm, you talked about internal meetings, how warm is the seat under Tom Thibodeau right now?
I think it's warm. It's warm, and I think that, just my guess, right? If you get a few more games like this where the Knicks just aren't competing enough on the defensive end, and they look like they've let go of the rope for too long of stretches of a game on this West Coast trip here, I would expect there to be a significant change, whether it's Tom Thibodeau or something else, because this is a team that I think, again, top on down, this organization expected to have this team competing much better than it did on Sunday, much better than it has in recent games. So if you have another few of those games on this trip where the Knicks just look terrible, I think there's going to be a big change made, again, whether it's Thibodeau or something else.
We now go.
All right, that's our guy Ian Begley. So now he said that on SNY yesterday. Now, today, Ian had a couple of interesting tidbits in his article on SNY.TV in regards to Thibs. And he mentions, in terms of Thibs' job security, he reiterates that, yes, he doesn't have much margins for error if this team continues to look like they're letting go of the rope. However, he does say that when the Knicks lost to the Nets last year, when they had a 28-point lead at home against the Nets, who didn't have Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving.
February 16th, yeah.
Nets came back and won that game, an embarrassing loss. According to Ian Begley, sometime after that loss, Knicks owner James Dolan informed team president Leon Rose that he had the latitude to fire or retain Thibs, who had at least 2 guaranteed seasons left on his contract. Rose decided to keep Thibs. Knicks finished the season 11-4, missed the playoffs. Now, he also said, based on the signings of a Jalen Brunson, there has been heightened internal expectations for this team this year in some influential corners of MSG. People familiar with those heightened expectations said the offseason that the Knicks early season performance would be critical, and those people acknowledged that Thibodeau would be under a microscope early on. So there it is. Jimmy D has already given Leon Rose the green light. It's your call. And this is what I mean. I don't think this guy has much room for error. I think this West Coast trip is going to be a disaster. These next 5 games, the next 10 games are tough. And my question, I just don't know, what is this team made of? You know, who is the leader in this locker room? Because at one point, you thought D. Rose has influence, and I'm sure he does. It's D. Rose, right? Everybody in the league loves D. Rose. But, you know, early in the offseason, he says, well, you know, playing time doesn't matter to me. I'm okay. I don't have any egos. And then just a couple of days ago, he's like, man, I'm lost.
Yeah.
I don't stick to the coach.
I'm
shocked. In the unknown.
I'm shocked how little Derek's played as well, too.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, he is coming off basically almost a full year of not playing. He's looked pretty decent when he's out there. But, yeah, I guess, you know, he was probably expecting to play 25, 30 minutes a game. He's only playing 10, 12 minutes, so I'm sure he's probably shocked by that. But, yeah, man, it's definitely going to be a tough West Coast trip. And I don't know if Thibs is the coach when the Knicks come back on Friday the 25th to play. Is that the Suns? Blazers. Yeah, on Friday the 25th. But my biggest thing is, here's the thing, CP, Alex. And fine, if you want to let Thibs go, I'm not going to fight it anymore. I like Thibs. I like him as a person. Like I said, I think he's a dope dude, even though I don't even know him. I root for him. He's one of those guys I just like. I've liked since I was like in high school when he was an assistant. I just thought, like, Tom, that guy's cool. Guy's the man. But we're just doing it again. And that's what scares me. We're doing it again. Another coach is going to come in here. We're going to listen, I'll be positive. I always am. Another coach will come in. We'll be excited. And are we going to be here 2 years from now? I hope we're not. I hope if Thibs is gone in 2 weeks or if he's gone in 2 months, whoever comes in next, I hope listen, we're never going to see another Greg Popovich or a Jerry Sloan run. But, you know, you look at Nick Nurse with Toronto, Steve Kerr with Golden State. I need something like that. I'm so sick of winning the press conference. I'm sick of it. If Thibs goes, and I get it, if he's not adapting, you want him to play Obi more, you think RJ should be growing more, fine. If you want to let him go, I get it. I'm not going to fight it anymore. I'm rooting for the guy, but I'm not going to fight it. But whoever you bring in, it has to work. I'm sick of coaches getting fired, GMs getting fired. Another GM comes in, another coach comes in, and then another coach comes in, then another bro. I'm so sick of it. And I get it. It might be time for Thibs to go. But, like, whoever comes in, we can't be on this show in 2024 saying it's time for him to go. And then in 2026, it's time for him to go. And then in 2028, it's time for him to go. I'm sick of it. Something, and I mean something, at some point has to work.
Yeah. I'll jump in here, man. Well, speaking facts.
To Anthony's point, like, yeah, it's not just winning the press conferences, but the thing that really comes down to it is the front office and the next head coach, because this front office will get a second chance to choose another coach. They have to make sure they're all on the same page. I don't even think we already know this front office and Thibs are not on the same page. He didn't want Cam Reddish last year. Knicks went out to go get Cam Reddish. Like stuff like that, or even another one. He wanted Reggie Bullock. That was one of his guys. They let Reggie Bullock walk. If you're the front office, like, I get you got to make decisions for the team that you believe is in the best interest, but you also have to set up your coach for success. You have to give him the guys that he believes is going to fit his system and that will work, so that way he can get the results that he's looking for. If you're not going to do that, then what is this front office doing? So whoever they bring in next, if Thibs is fired after this stretch of games or whenever, or at the end of the season, whenever that happens, the front office needs to make sure that they have a plan and stick to that plan. Whether that's, are you trying to go out and go get a star right now and go compete right now, or are you trying to go rebuild and go with the youth movement? Stop being in the middle lane and trying to have it both ways. You can't do that. It doesn't work in the NBA. You're stuck in no man's land. We see what happens to the Orlando Magic and other teams who decide to try to do that. So lean into a direction after this happens. If you want to go with the youth movement, go into the draft, especially this one where you have a lot of top-end talent. It's a deep draft. Move in that direction. If you're trying to go with it, don't be afraid and let it come down to, oh, wait, we don't want to give you the third pick. Can we get it top 5 protected for Donovan Mitchell? No, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have, like, you shouldn't even be thinking that way if you're about to get an all-star. Who cares about top 5 protected? You're not supposed to be there.
How much does it hurt? How much does it hurt now not getting Donovan Mitchell, man? And you know what I was thinking about the other day? And players are human, and to be honest, they're probably even more human now than they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, because of social media. Trade rumors bother players, as they should. I get it. I wonder how much, because I remember being around the Knicks team in 2010, 2011. I was cool with a lot of those players. And the Melo trade rumors affected them that whole season. Now, they were over 500 that whole season, really, until the Melo trade. But the players were affected. They were very affected by those rumors. Now, granted, over the summer, there was no games going on. But I wonder how much that has affected this Knicks team where, one day it's Quickly, one day it's Grimes, one day it's McBride, one day it's RJ, one day it's, the chef over at a restaurant downtown in the trade. So I wonder how much that affected the players going into the season. So they get to training camp. Donovan Mitchell just got sent to the Cavs, and they were like, bro, we were all about to get traded. And I wonder how much that affected camaraderie going into the season.
That's fair.
I'm sure it affected something. I mean, I think like RJ, like, even though he says the right things, I'm sure
they were tight.
It affects him. He's not going to say it, man.
There's no way him and his camp weren't tight about that, bro. They
I'm
were
sure
ready
Quickly
to trade
too.
RJ, bro.
Yeah, Quickly, Obi.
Yeah, that's what I'm
RJ,
saying.
like they're all affected by that. Like,
right, and it was like every day. Had we got Donovan Mitchell, it was going to be a big trade, right? Like we were sending like 18 guys there, right? So it's not like it was going to be one guy, like the Melo deal. They traded Gallo and Chandler and Mozgov and Ray Felton. So had we got Donovan Mitchell, we would have traded 4 or 5 guys. So now that you get to training camp and you're like, bro, we was all about to get traded. So that had to affect something. And I'm not making excuses for their poor player or lack of putting damn hands up on three-pointers, but that had to affect this basketball team going into training camp. And look, because they even last year, early in the year, they had life. They had spark. They cared. I'm not saying they don't care. I'll never say an athlete doesn't care. But it seems like even though we're 6-7, the record isn't horrible. It just seems like this team don't give a rat's ass about basketball when I watch them. Because if you gave a rat's ass, if you gave a shit, you would put your freaking hand up for a three-pointer. It just seems like there's no care, there's no fight, there's no spark, there's no nothing.
They don't have it, man. They definitely don't have it. And so Do I think Thibs survives? No, I don't. I don't think he survives. I've seen enough.
Survives the season or the West Coast trip?
The season. I think he'll come back on a West Coast trip. But I don't think he survives the season.
You think he's coming back from the West Coast trip and continue to
I think he'll come back, but his days are numbered. I think his days are numbered. Just the way this team is.
Hold on. Yeah. How many games is he winning on this West Coast trip?
Probably none.
How many games does he have? Actually, but how many games does he? How many games does he have to win to come back home?
I don't think they get one. They haven't won in Utah in how long?
Woof.
How long has it been since they won in Denver?
2006.
2006.
Jamal's shot.
Yeah. I think his days are numbered. Does it mean that they leave him out west? I don't know. I'm not so sure.
They're not gonna do a Mets Willie Randolph?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. But I think his days are numbered just by the way that this team is looking. And look, the coach is always the first domino to fall when a team is not living up to expectations. And even though a lot of people, Vegas included, has his team penciled in around 500, you still can't justify their lackluster play and lackluster energy. Especially, look, you gave Julius a big contract. You gave Brunson a big contract. You gave RJ a big contract. This stuff is not acceptable. And so the coach is going to be the first head to get chopped off. A lot of fans are already putting Johnny Bryant in the Coach of the Year conversation. I'd like to caution them on that as well. I exaggerate on that, but you see a lot of fans like Johnny Bryant. He's our answer, and you have literally nothing to base that off of. The guy had zero experience.
I think I know why. I wonder. So I saw a rant. Obviously, it's Twitter in 2022. Anybody can make a show.
Yeah.
I saw a video today about you need to have Johnny Bryant because he relates to the players. That's one thing I disagree with. I don't think that matters at all. I don't think the players dislike Thibs. I think David Fizdale, who related to more players than David Fizdale.
Yeah, right.
He might have been the worst coach in Knicks history.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure Derek Fisher related to the players. You know, he was bagging dimes, probably talking about with the guys. They were terrible.
Yeah.
So I think that some people have said that on Twitter. Well, you got to get a guy that relates to the players. I'm sure Darvin Ham relates to the players.
Yeah.
They're 2 and 100. So if a player, does Mike Budenholzer relate to the players? You know what I'm saying? So or whoever, I think that's overrated. If a coach does, cool. It's cool. But I don't think you need that. I don't think that's I don't think you fire Thibs because he doesn't relate to the players, because he isn't listening to the 21 Savage and Drake album. I don't think that matters. I really don't.
I mean, look, I think they move on from Thibs because they need to pick a direction. The direction that they need to pick in is rebuild properly. And it starts, you got to move Randle, man. Start with Randle. So, you move Fournier, you move
Randle's
Rose.
Got to go.
You got to listen. This is, and it's not a Julius Randle is terrible type of thing. This has been 4 years. Building with Julius, around Julius, whatever you want to call it, is nothing but mediocre basketball, bro. It's been 4 years. I'm not looking to go get the next starter to play him with Julius. It's not going to work. They're not going anywhere. No. You got to move them and you got to start over. You have to move them. You have to move them.
That's why the whole get Donovan Mitchell and Julius Randle conversation was and how far are you going if you trade most of your assets, all your bench boy? I get that it would make a difference, but is it going to be a difference for the long haul? And that's what we're looking for with the Knicks. And for Randle, it just doesn't work, man. I feel like he's stagnating a lot, because on this team, he's looked as the dude that's going to take us somewhere. And he has a ceiling to how far he can take this team. Yeah. He's better off going to another team and being in a role where he's not the number one option, right? You have him next to, I'm just throwing out teams. You put him on the Warriors and have him 4th, 5th, that works. You put him on the Miami Heat, have him next to Bam and Butler, that works. Having Randle as the guy just does not work. We watch it night in and night out. We see it when he takes all the shots, and he feels like he's entitled to be that guy. But then it doesn't even help when you have a guy like Thibs who's enabling him to feel like that. He emboldens this guy to be I don't feel like playing defense. I did that 2 years ago. That's when it was in. I don't want to do that right now.
It's weird because I can't. And you're not wrong, Alex. It's just weird because you would think Thibs would be riding his ass.
No accountability. No accountability, bro.
I'm shocked, because I feel like that's how Thibs. I'm shocked, and I'm very disappointed in Thibs, man. Because I got nothing.
Yeah,
I got nothing because I'm shocked. And listen, if you work on, not to make jokes here, but some players, they come into the new season with a new move, and you're like, oh shit, that looks good. That's a good move.
Yeah.
This double pump in the air move that Julius Randle brought to this season.
So stupid.
What the heck is that?
That was like
that move is terrible.
Oh man, do you remember last year where he was doing in between the leg dribbles, going with his right hand? I'm like, bro, you're a lefty. Why are you leading with your right like you're about to shoot righty? No one's falling for that. No.
Yeah,
everyone's watching tape on you like, oh, this guy's going to try to do that. He quickly got rid of it 11 games in. But it's the same thing with the double pump fake or just jumping up.
But he's
and then passing it out.
Goes this with the ball. And then
it doesn't make sense.
What are you doing?
It just doesn't make sense, man. And look, I'm not here to run through Leon Rose's resume all over again. We've all seen it. I thought when Julius had the year that he had, a lot of fans, Ari included, we should have traded him. We shouldn't have signed him. I think that's ridiculous. I think 99% of the GMs in the NBA would have done what the Knicks did, and that's try to get a discounted deal and extend him. You don't want to lose him for nothing. He had an incredible year.
I get looking back, hindsight's always 20/20. Don't sign him. I can understand the don't sign him part. To trade him, that's a whole thing where if you traded him, we're catering to a fan base here too. You just made it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You'd be getting a lot of funny looks from the fan base.
There's no way.
Why would you even do that?
It's silly to even think.
You're right.
It's silly to even think.
Trade him after that.
Yeah, it's silly to even think.
But CP, you could say though, if you again, hindsight's 20/20. We're just barroom conversation. He was terrible versus the Hawks. He had a decent game too. He looked lost. I mean, in the Hawks series, if Julius Randle took a boat to the middle of the ocean and dropped the ball, he couldn't hit water. That's how bad he was in that series. And I was worried, and I said this on a couple shows in the playoffs in 2021, he was very comfortable with no fans. And I think I think Jason Tatum talked about that in the bubble, where he was like, some players just seemed a little bit too comfortable with no fans. And I kind of felt, and listen, I never played NBA basketball. I know it's different playing in a pickup game at Equinox than playing in a game in front of 2,000 people at Rucker Park, right? I played in that game last month. It's a little different, right? So, and that's just playing the game. So it had to be so much more comfortable playing with no fans. And then the fans come back, and we literally have never seen the Julius Randle we saw with, no fans or 2,000 fans in 20,000 seat arenas. We haven't seen that Julius Randle since literally the last last three regular season games of the 2021 season.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that guy since.
Yeah. So it didn't work. So now it's time for them to peel it back. I even said when they signed Brunson, peel it back. Get rid of Randle. Get rid of Fournier. You cannot be stuck in no man's land, because right now, this roster, they just don't have talent, man. They do not. There's no all-stars on this team. It is a team 1 through 15 of role players. That gets you nowhere in the league. They're not good enough to get a solid pick in the lottery. To get into the playoffs and make some real noise, and they're not bad enough to get a solid pick in the lottery. That's what gets you the 11th pick, the 10th pick in the draft. That's not what this team needs. This team needs to peel it all the way back. All the way back.
Or is there a superstar? I'm not really followed the situation. Is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander gettable? Like Donovan Mitchell was gettable?
I doubt it. But here's the thing. Ant. Anybody that's available, whether it's SGA, whether it's Booker, whether it's Embiid, all these guys, these pipe dreams that we always have, it's going to cost the same, if not more than Donovan Mitchell, and the team is still in the same place where you get rid of half the team or all the team to get the person. You still starting from scratch. They're not. Right. They're in no position to compete for anything. when they go make that splash move. You know, make a Dallas make a splash move like that, right? You have a generational talent in a Luka Doncic. You go out and get him a superstar. Now they can truly contend. The Knicks will still be starting from scratch if they did that. That's why, to me, you got to peel it all the way back, bro. You really have to peel it all the way back. You get Thibs out of there. You want to bring in a Johnny Bryant? Fine. You start from scratch and balance. The roster construction is not balanced.
And I think we really need to see how good Obi Toppin is. And again, do I think, I always think of Amari when I just see Obi run and he wears the number 1. So, is he as good as Amari Stoudemire in his prime? Probably not. But we need to see. He was the 8th pick in the draft, or was he not?
8th pick.
8th pick in the draft. He was the 8th pick in the draft. We need to see. And last year, I was like, all right, I get it. Thibs plays him his 10, 15 minutes a game. But we need to see how good Obi Toppin is. And I think he's shown a lot of improvements. He's knocking down the 3 ball. Obi Toppin cannot be playing 12, 15 minutes a game anymore. He's got to play a lot more. And as of right now, I don't think he's going to. I don't.
That's on management. That's on the coach.
And if you don't allow him to play more minutes and see what you have in your 8th overall pick, which to me, it's still shocking to even think that Leon Rose has gone through 3 seasons here and he still hasn't had one of his draft picks start. You go to any other team, if you make a top 10 pick, they're in the starting rotation. No question.
Yeah.
No question. Unless you're built like the Warriors where you're like,
right.
Kuminga, you can stay. Yeah, but not when you're the Knicks.
This is why when what's my guy Omar from the Bronx who was saying that, well, Obi was 8th pick, he's a rotation player, we should be okay with that, there's value there. Not when the starting lineup is so disjointed and lacks balance. He can
be a role player.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that it's a role player, it's the fact that he's not starting as a role player.
Right.
That's an 8th pick. You have to at least give your 8th pick a chance to start. And
or
also
play 30 minutes. It's not that Obi's not even starting. He's playing 12 to 15 minutes a game. If he was not starting and playing 32 minutes a game, it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
He's playing 15 minutes a game, and we don't know what he can do. I mean, we think he can be pretty damn good. Again, do I think he's a superstar? I don't. But I think he's really good. I do. I think, especially the fact that he's hitting the 3 ball now. Like, let him go. And if he stinks, all right, then we'll say he stinks. But if he doesn't stink, we'll be like, yo, he's really good. But we're not winning the championship anyway. Throw the guy out there.
And if you want to make a trade, they're not if you have to trade any of these players that you drafted, don't you want to trade them at the highest value? I mean, you're gonna have to. Obi is in his 3rd year. They picked it up. We know about that. He's gonna have 1 more year on his contract. Don't you want to trade him for what he could the highest value and not trade him for his lowest if you don't want him? So don't you want to get more playing time? Like we see Tyrese Halliburton, who went to the Pacers, right? He gets traded because he's getting playing time. And even though the Kings weren't doing anything, they're like, oh, I could see some talent because he's putting up some numbers. You can at least do that for Obi and just let him put up some numbers and be like, oh, well, he can do this effectively as an offensive talent. Rather than just saying, well, I don't really know if Obi's just good within the 15 minutes that he's getting is just hyper efficient.
Yeah.
And that when you give him more minutes, he can't do anything. Wait, we do not know these answers.
Asset management. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Knicks Weekly presented by Manscaped. CP, Alex, Anthony, MSG on the 1, 2s, and 3s, man. If you guys are new in the chat, leave us a hashtag new. We'll shout you guys out. I want to shout out the Rhyme Animal Chuck D, who's in the chat with us tonight, always in the chat. Sends a $20 super chat, says congratulations, Ant, on your run in the marathon.
Thanks.
Says salute, CP, Alex. I believe this team is a 48-win team, but not with Thibs or experimental coach Mark Jackson or Atkinson. We need to stop playing each city on the West trip. Looks like Chernobyl. So Chuck's throwing his hat into the Jackson Hive or Kenny Atkinson. Interesting, man. Interesting. Darn, I've seen the
Kenny
chat.
Atkinson there's a lot of talk about Kenny Atkinson
Before Thibs.
Before Thibs. Those
Yeah.
are like the two.
Yeah, shout out to Daniel Herman checking in from Australia. There was a lot of Atkinson talk, man.
Yep, there was Atkinson talk even 8 years ago too. He was an assistant during Linsanity.
Yep.
Hard worker. Of course, he did a great job with those Nets teams that with D'Angelo Russell and that squad. It's tough, man. Like I said, if Thibs doesn't make it through the West Coast trip or the season, like whoever we bring in, whoever Leon brings in, it's got to work. It's got to work. You know, I don't want to do this again in 2 years. And I don't want to do it 2 years after that. And I don't want to do it 2 years after that. Like I nobody roots for the Knicks harder than me. I want this to work. Like, and it's probably not going to work with Thibs. No. But, you know, but you better make an awesome hire, and I'm rooting for it.
Hey.
Like,
Will Hardy, Udoka was part of that list of coaches they talked to. They went with their guy, man. So
they interviewed Udoka, right?
They did.
Yep.
They did.
That's crazy.
They did, man. So
speaking about a coach that you don't need to necessarily be connected, he was out there throwing his guys under the bus. Some people were even commenting saying that's a little too aggressive to say, hey, it's Tatum and Brown. It's all these guys' fault. Not my fault.
Udoka did. Last year.
He did that early in the season last year. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it seemed like those guys loved him.
100%.
Hey, you just need to respect the guy. You don't need to love the guy. He doesn't need to.
Yeah, and that's why I said that's why I don't believe in the whole the coach has to relate to the players. If he does, cool. If he doesn't, I don't think that's a big deal. I don't. Yeah. You're not supposed to be best friends, and I think that's what happened with David Fizdale. I think Fizz wanted to be best buds with all the players. You know, I don't think the coach. I think the players called him Fizz. Fizz. I don't think that worked either. Like, you know, but I don't know. We just got to get something right. Like, and I love Fizz. Fizdale was mad cool. You know, but like, I don't know if we need a cool coach. I don't know if we need a hard ass coach. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And like, again, we're only 6-7, not the worst record in the world. Now we very well might be 6-13, and then that's a much worse conversation. So that's why, you know, if we were 6-7 going into a 5-game homestand, I'd be like, all right, cool. We're 6-7 hitting the West Coast. That's not all right, cool.
No question, man. Let's get to the phones, man. Hear what the people got to say. Let me go to Spoon from Brooklyn. Spoon, what's going on? Spoon, turn down your radio. Spoon's not ready, man. Spoon's not ready. Edgar, you got to go back to Spoon Town. Tell him to get ready, man. Carl from Detroit. Carl, what's going on?
What's going down, fellas?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right, man. You know, it seems like that y'all brothers have finally come on home, man, and y'all on my team with this, like, yo, kids got to go.
Coming on home.
And come on home, man. Let me just say one thing, my brothers, is that I don't think that Thibs is necessarily a bad coach.
Right.
I don't think that, you know, I think that he's definitely a solid person. He did good for us a couple of years ago, but I just don't feel like that he's the man for the job that we have at hand. Thibs is built to have like a playoff-ready team. This is the mindset this man has. This is the way he's always coached his teams.
Yeah.
I think that we're having an identity crisis, though, because, that's not what we are. I mean, we're a 500 team right now, but let's be real. Even if we make it to the playoffs, we are getting bounced.
It's not a good idea. Yeah, it's not a good idea.
So my thing is this, is that, we need to embrace what we are. We're a lottery team. That's posing as a 500 team right now. If we're a lottery team, then let's be a lottery team. Let's embrace that. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get some assets to help truly build our foundation. Even the Warriors, the champs, even they knew when to do that. When they had their injuries, they didn't try to make it to the playoffs. They sat down and stacked up young talent, and look at them now. I just think that, we got to do a better job as far as, like, managing the direction of where we're supposed to go. And I don't think that we're headed in the right direction.
No, I agree with you 100%. 100%, man. Carl from Detroit, great call, man. I thought that was a 5-star call. We got to pick a direction, man. There's this in between where you're trying to compete, you're trying to develop, it's just not working. And like I said, it's not a Julius is a terrible player. Get him out of here, because offensively he has a lot of skills.
He does.
But we've seen it for 4 years now. This team is capped with him as a lead dog, or as one of the lead dogs. This team is capped, man. You got to move on. It's 4 years already, and it's 3 years that you've had Obi Toppin being blocked. Your draft capital being blocked there, draft asset, all over the place. This is why, top to bottom, this roster has no value, man. This roster has no value. It's top to bottom of role players. role players.
So it's interesting you say role players, CP, because what's up with RJ Barrett? I mean, a lot of people talking about for years that he's a superstar. Now, me personally, I think he's good. I hope he becomes a superstar. I hope everybody becomes a superstar. I think RJ Barrett is good. I think he's maybe even very good. I don't think he's a superstar, but I think a lot of the talk with fans is that he's a superstar. And I feel like if you disagree with that, you're like a terrible human. Just because I say I don't think he's a superstar, don't mean I don't want him on my team. Don't mean I don't think he's not good. Or maybe he's getting blocked by Julius.
That's possible too.
Possible too. You know, that might be right too.
Well.
You know, maybe and maybe he is. Maybe if you take Julius off the team and the ball's in RJ's hands more, maybe he is a superstar. And I would love that. Yeah. I would love that. But that's why it's probably, like I said, we like Julius as a person. We are rooting for him. But it's been 4 years. It's time, respectfully. We got nothing but love for you as a human. It's time. And it doesn't mean that there's beef. It's not like, oh, screw this guy. Nah. It's just time. And Julius can go help. So we can all just go our separate ways. I think it's time to see what you can get for Julius Randle.
Yeah.
See, he's a good basketball player. Again, you put him on Golden State, be the fourth guy. You put him on Miami with like Alex said, you put him on, a lot of good teams. You make him a third or fourth guy. For us, for the New York Knicks, it's just not the fit anymore. I'll be rooting for him tomorrow night in Utah, but it's not the fit anymore. It's not. That's okay. It happens. But you have to recognize it. Yeah. And it needs to be recognized and dealt with. Because you don't want to, opening night next year, ball going into Julius Randle. We can't have that.
You can't have it, man.
You can't.
I don't see superstar in RJ. I think, I think he could top out as a borderline all-star. Maybe have some great years, questionable years where he should have made the team, didn't make the team. He's got to work on his game. He's got to work on his game. And if you move Julius, hopefully things get better. I think they have to play faster, with RJ. He's not a half-court player.
You need more shooters around RJ, just like how you need for Julius, and just like how you need for Brunson. We have 3 guys that live inside the 15-foot range and shorter. Like, that would have been fine like 10 years ago, but not now when everyone's shooting threes and you need threes to open up the flooring. I mean, we saw that with Hartenstein and how much spacing it just allowed for those guys, especially like Randle, for Brunson to operate. But if you have all 3 of them, it's just clogging the paint for one another because you have to wait for one of them to move out for the other one to go attack. Having 2 would be fine, but you need to have at least 3 shooters on this team to actually make it fully work. And Brunson's not a terrible 3-point shooter. He can hold his own. And RJ, he has his games where he can knock it down, but like Randle's not your stretch big. I mean, I know when you look at Randle's stats for the past 4 games this week, and him shooting over, I think it was 40% from 3 from the past 4 games. Yeah. That Minnesota game really bumped it up. I mean, it bumped it up so much. He went from 24% to 33% in one day. So, like, it throws off, like, the entire balance of, like, what we saw from Randle this week and what he's averaging. But we need more consistent 3-point shooting because right now, 3-point percentage, it was us against OKC. We're still shooting, like, a poor 3-point shooting team. And then defensively, we're allowing other teams to shoot well, but we can't keep up by just scoring in the paint if we don't have any 3-point shooters. Yeah. And allowing our best 3-point shooter and Obi to be on the bench most of the time.
Yeah.
By the way, I was hoping Tommy Beard put something out. Was yesterday the first time in the history of the NBA there was 4 lefties in the starting line? I figure if anybody could find that, it'd be Tommy Beard. Yeah. I don't got time to look that up.
I'm not so sure.
That would hurt my brain.
Yeah, right. I'm not so sure.
Has it ever happened?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
4 lefties in the starting lineup yesterday.
Yeah. You had Brunson, Randle, RJ, Hartenstein,
yeah,
in the starting lineup, man.
That's crazy. I've never seen that.
Let me get back to the phones. Let's take some more calls. Let's go to Tucson from BK. Speaking of RJ, he wants to talk about RJ. Tucson, what's going on?
Yeah, it's crazy that y'all got on the RJ, man. I was hoping y'all didn't say too much, man. But yo, peace to everybody. I just wanted to say real quick, man. What I've been seeing is I feel like RJ, bro, since the beginning of the season, I feel like the man has been getting cooked, bro. Like I feel like every single opportunity that he has, whether it don't even have to be a superstar. My issue is that it's like he's a ghost out there, and I want to know whether it's a matter of like, because Cam the other night, his defense to me, like not just him being in the passing lanes, but even his on-board defense, like when they put him on Shea, I feel like he did a great job on Shea a few times. He caught a block on him. But RJ was getting cooked from the first quarter to the second. And it made sense to me why he got sat down, because it's like even with what he can contribute offensively, defensively, it's like he don't move his feet. He I don't know, especially being a young dude, I would think that he'd be in tune with a lot of the like ball handling and knowing how to defend certain players, especially when he talks about the Mamba mentality, and being a Maple Mamba. I would think defense is something he strive for. So I just want to know, like, do y'all think maybe it's a wingspan thing, an athleticism thing, an IQ thing? Like, what might that be? Because I feel like his defense, if he actually becomes a solid defender, like I flip around.
Yeah, I think it's a combination, man. When he first got into the league, I did a lunch with John Starks, and I was talking to Starks about RJ and what he thought about him. And the first thing Starks said was like, I think he needs to get a track coach. That's what Starks told me. He was like, he's got to work on his feet. Wow. He's got to work on his gait. And that's what Starks said. He was like, back in our day, he's always going to go back in time, but a lot of those guys, they work with track coaches. Yeah. And that's what Starks told me. And I think, like, yesterday, he was having trouble keeping up with Shai Gilgeous. I think some of it is foot speed, depending on the matchup. Well,
RJ's bounce isn't crazy. I mean, he's more athletic than all of us.
He's slow.
Right. His drives to the basket sometimes feel like I'm driving from here to Queens, from the Bronx to Queens. Like, his drives to the basket while slow. Yeah. And then sometimes he'll get off a nice shot in the paint, but then it just doesn't go in the hoop.
Right.
I wouldn't say he's like the fastest guy, but he uses more of his strength than he does have foot speed, right?
And
like when you just watch RJ,
which drives me nuts.
Yeah, and for RJ, maybe going back down to guarding twos would be better than guarding threes. I also feel like maybe to like Ant's point, maybe the whole being thrown into deal did mess with him. Maybe he's like, wow, this team was really going to just trade me like that when I said I wanted to be a Knick. I wanted to be here for the long haul. I wanted to be part of those cornerstones. Maybe that, I was listening to what was it? Shout out to friend of the pod, Kevin O'Connor, and his podcast, The Mismatch. Chris Vernon said, RJ looked like coming into the season that he looked like a guy who thought he was about to get traded to Utah.
Yeah.
and maybe that.
By the way, one of the best teams in the NBA right now, the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
And maybe something like that did have to play an effect on RJ's like mentality coming to the season. Who knows? That's all. That's speculation. But I think to Ant's point, some of that stuff, like when you get here that you're in trade rumors and you want to be somewhere, like I would consider that. I'm not saying it's fact, but I would say maybe that's part of it. But I think for like RJ, it's just maybe, as you said, CP, like just get in the gym and get on the track.
Yeah. It's something, man. Something.
And his J isn't that wet, though. His J just isn't that wet either.
We'll see, that I wouldn't expect. And so with that, I'm hoping that he can finish a little bit at the basket and also play make.
I never felt his J was that nice.
Yeah, I don't expect him to be a career 40% shooter. Like, I don't expect him to ever be that or just super efficient from the field. But I think he still has, using his size, I still think he can create advantages. He can still get to the rim with ease. He just has to finish better. And he has finished better this year as opposed to the previous three.
He doesn't need to be like this superstar athlete to like, get past everyone with like the fastest. He just has to understand how to play at his speed and get to his spots, right? And adding more to his game, adding that mid-range jumper, being more consistent 3-point shooter, knowing how to use his strength. This is where like him and Randle start to become even Brunson. All three of them are redundant because they're not the fastest guys, but they all use their strength to get into the paint.
Yep. No question about it, man.
But when Jalen gets to the paint, he'll put the ball in the hoop. he'll make like a nice move in the paint. And you know who used strength and great footwork to get a lot of buckets, wasn't the fastest, was we all probably hate him as a player, was Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
Paul was great with that. He was, even early in his career, he may have blew by you a little bit, but he was great. He was great with his footwork, and he would make shots though.
Mm-hmm.
He had a wet J.
His jumper was on point.
Yeah. RJ's jumper not on point. So, and he's not putting the shots in the paint on a high clip either right now, and that's really frustrating, especially coming in with a new contract.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's with the contract, it's gonna weigh him down, man. We've seen it. Everybody gets it. And once they get Julius up out of here, he's next on the conveyor belt. Once they get the coach out of here, once they get Julius out of here, it's gonna be RJ whining and complaining all game, every game, because he's gonna be the guy. And then it's gonna be Brunson's turn. Then it's gonna be Obi's turn. This is just New York, man. Once you sign that contract, you can't have nights like this. 4 points, 4 fouls, and you're getting benched.
Yeah, when you sign that contract, you're taking on the responsibility to be a key player, and if you're going to be one of the key players, and if you're a key, you got to show up.
You got to come with it every night, bro.
There's no question about it. You have to be able to show up.
You have to come with it every night, bro,
and figure it out. And even there's nights where you can accept. All right, they don't have the touch tonight. They can't put the ball in the hoop. That happens to every player.
Yeah.
But you have to do something. You have to have a good floor game. You got to be playmaking. You got to have something else with your game. And for RJ, he struggled to start the season. He had a nice stretch so far, like prior to yesterday. Like he had a good game against Detroit and whatnot, and games prior to that. But it can't be so up and down. You have to be consistent when you come to play, especially after a new contract. No question about it. Let's take a couple more phone calls. Let's go to Joe from Ohio. Joe, what's going on? Joe going once. All right, Joe's not ready. Edgar, you could try Joe again. Let me know. Spoon, let's go back to Spoon from BK. Spoon, you good?
Yeah, I'm good, baby. How you doing?
Good, man. How you feeling?
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, man, my fault about that, bro. Like, let me just get straight to it.
Yep.
Like, first and foremost, Thibs already shot himself in the foot. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been said this since last year when they kept Julius Randle. I've told people he does not fit with RJ, and that's the main reason why they're flopping. If you really watch them games, look where Julius Randle is at, and you look where RJ is at. And then you see they're not complimenting each other. And pretty much I'm thinking Randle was supposed to be in the paint this year, not at the top of the key or near the elbow. That's RJ's position. So pretty much RJ is being subservient to Randle. And if you really watch the games, when RJ is calling for the ball, remember, who gets the most money out of the contracts right now? That's RJ. So he's supposed to be the next up. He's supposed to be touching the ball the most. He's supposed to be creative. They're not allowing that to happen. But besides that, let me double back on Thibs. Mm-hmm. Thibs, he messed up because of his ego. Ego already did him in because he has the old school mentality. Plus, it's like a toxic relationship with a bad girlfriend. Like, she cheated on you, and all of a sudden, she wants to come back, but she's doing the same thing already. She's doing the same thing as before. So the thing is, everything right now is just with a smile. It's just like with Randle and Thibs. Thibs wants to put the hammer down, but he doesn't know how to. So he's just letting it slide, and that's affecting the team because everybody's looking at it like, wait a minute. Even Cam Reddish, I even said that. Cam was like, yo, bro. Like, if you look at his facial cues, how many times Randle had the ball, and he slows the tempo up, and then you see somebody cut into the basket, and he blows that assignment. He blows that pass. So when you're talking about it, and it's like, wait a minute. Thibs sees it, and he's not really putting pressure on him. So it's like, you know what? I see what it is. And let me go back to RJ. RJ's problem is I'm a lefty, just like RJ. I play ball. But the thing is, I've never been in the NBA, but I know what's going on with RJ. He's overthinking. Y'all just said it. With that contract that y'all said, mind you, how old is RJ? He's 20-something years old, bro.
22, yeah.
Come on. And he's double back. He's double back he's under Randle. So the thing is, he's trying to be passive and try to get the team into it, but he needs the ball in his hand to create, to learn, especially with the pressure. So it's like, I know, especially when he did that spin move last night, I was like, oh, my God, he's playing scared.
Yeah, it was great, yeah.
He's playing scared.
Yeah.
Because he's thinking he wants to compete. I know his heart is in the right place. He wants to compete because Shai Gilgeous is from his homeland as well. He's like, nah, I want to compete. But the thing is, the team is not diverting to him. They're diverting to who? Randle. That's the cancer. And you have to get rid of Fournier. And I apologize, y'all, but you got to get rid of Rose. We have young players that we have to put out there. We have to let go of the old and get with the new. Stop playing ourselves, man. So this is why I know Thibs, if they don't turn around from now to December, it might not even be that long. If they don't turn around, it's a wrap. And this is why the team is giving up. They're like, you know what? It is what it is. Because we might be playing D, but the main people that's actually starting is not getting the focal point of the blame. Cancer spreads. And this is what's going on. Cancer. That's all I got to say.
Spoon from BK laying it down, man. Rate that call in the chat. One being trash, 5 being facts. I thought that was a 5-star call right there. Shout out to Spoon, man. He recovered nicely, man. When we first went to him, he was listening to the show in the background, so he's way delayed. Had no idea what was going on. But he redeemed himself with an excellent call.
Let me give a little piece of advice from my call screening days on ESPN radio when it comes to the radio on. So when I was an expert call screener from 2004 to 2006 for Michael K, Stephen A, everybody. Mm-hmm. You never tell the caller, turn the radio down. It's always turn the radio off. Off. That's the key word.
Yeah.
I was an expert call screener, damn it. Turn the radio
turn it off, man.
Not turn it down.
Yeah.
Turn
it off. Because you know what they do? They'll be listening in the background, waiting for their turn.
Off. Yep, exactly.
You got to turn it off.
You hear it through the phone.
But in this case, just mute. We want you still watching. Just mute.
Right, correct.
Right.
Off is the key. So what happened is, if I was screening calls for K or Stephen A or whoever, and the caller got on, they heard the radio, you know who got blamed? I did.
It's real talk, man. So it's everybody in the
chat.
Worst
I got blamed for, one day I forgot ketchup for Stephen A's eggs.
Oh.
It was a Jets training camp. He was so mad.
You should have put mustard in it and gave it to him. All right, let's get to a couple more, man. Let's go to Hold This L on the Discord. Hold This L. What's going on?
What's going on, CP?
Let's go.
What's going on, Alex?
Let's go.
What's up?
You know, I'm coming back from Saudi. I'm glad y'all have a late show so I could talk again.
Yeah, man.
I just wanted to talk about like the organization as a whole. You know, I just don't want everyone to go crazy on Leon Rose. I feel like he's done a great job considering where our organization's been, and maybe because I'm having like nightmares of Frank Ntilikina and Nick and Kevin Knox and Jordan Hill actually having young players we can root for. You know what I'm saying? And when we look at our organization, say you can't win and have certain players, when you look at Boston, organizations make mistakes too. Because I remember they drafted Jaylen Brown, they drafted Jason Tatum, but then they also went to go sign Gordon Hayward and sign Kyrie while they had Marcus Smart, who was a 6th-round pick, you know, on the team. So
they got to the conference finals. They did something. That's a mistake for a great team. We would love their mistakes.
You know, of course. I mean, look at hindsight as a mistake, but at the time, you know, they had Jaylen Brown, who was a 3rd-round pick, had Jason Tatum. They still signed Gordon Hayward. They wasn't trying to tank. They was trying to win. You know what I'm saying? But I think overall, we just need to get rid of Randle because just watching him play, he just plays losing basketball. It's not about losing. It's about how he plays basketball. It's just hard to watch. Like I would like to see Obi, like, you know, and I feel like Obi needs to work on his one-on-one game. But like, when we have Jaylen Brown, why can't we use Obi similar to Amari Stoudemire? Not saying that he's gonna be Amari Stoudemire, but use Jaylen Brown. You know, I never seen him in pick and rolls. Like I never see him. Like, it's crazy. Like why don't he set screens and, you know, set up some alley-oops? He can shoot the 3, so you gotta respect him. You know, he's a better shooter than Randle, as we can see. You know what I'm saying? Also with that, and I like Thibs, but he gotta go. He gotta go. Like this 3-point shooter is trash, and I think we need a players coach. That's where all of the good coaches in the league seem to be player coaches. So I think we need to go in that.
All right, appreciate the call, man.
All right, appreciate
the call. Hold This L on the Discord, man. This is Knicks Weekly, fellas, and every week when we do Knicks Weekly, we didn't do it last week, but this week, we do ask the fans to vote on a player of the week. Now, this one was interesting because we did go 2-2 in the week, But the 2 losses overshadowed everything. So it felt like we went 0-4. It's doom and gloom everywhere. The coach is getting fired. Everybody sucks, right? So it was hard. But it is the people's show, Ant. So we did ask the people to name their player of the week. And unanimously, or not unanimously, but overwhelmingly, the player of the week was Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish gets the player of the week, voted on by the fans, 45% on Twitter, over 50% on YouTube. Cam averaging nine and a half points this week on 37% shooting and 23% from 3.
I felt like he was scoring. I mean, I watched it. Well, actually, that's a lie. I did not watch. I did not watch the Minnesota game or the Nets game. I was sleeping.
Yeah. Well, he didn't do much in either of those games. It's really off of yesterday's performance. It felt
like he scored more than that. 9.5. Jeez.
He went like 4 for 21 in the first 3 games of the week. So do the math. But hey,
speaking of math, how weird is this math?
Yeah.
Hawks game at the Garden. It felt like a playoff game. We're up 23, and then we were down by as many as 20-something or 19-18. And then OKC, I was at the game. I was at both games. We were up by as many as 18 yesterday, 17, and we were down by as many as about that. Bro, those are 2 crazy swings in 10 days.
Big swings, man.
In 10 days.
Yeah.
To be up by that much and then down by that much? Now, yes, teams blow leads all the time. But to blow 20-point leads to be down 20? WTF, yo.
Cardiac Knicks, man. Word. Al, your thoughts on Cam's performance this week?
Look, defensively, it's been there. Offensively, we know it's been shaky. Look, the fans spoke, man. Yesterday was really the overwhelming performance. He carried that team in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And he played really well. He played well throughout the entire game yesterday. But when yesterday is what shows what happens when Cam puts it all together. Offensively, he could be a force. Defensively, he was given SGA problems. That if Cam can put it all together, I would be surprised if he's player of the week every single week. But we need more consistency out of Cam to see that happen. But I like, as of right now, I like that he's getting minutes. You know, that was the biggest question. Is Cam even going to be part of this rotation? I'm shocked even that Fournier is on the bench right now, early in the season, and we're having Cam as a starter. That's really it. I always thought Grimes should be a starter, but the fact that we have Cam and Fournier, and I would be really shocked if Grimes like soon, like even with the conditioning and need all that, Fournier is completely out.
I mean, give Thibs a little credit for that, then I guess, right? He did
for sure.
You know.
Yeah, and I've been giving Thibs credit for the rotations and trying to stagger and stuff like that. I still think yesterday was a chance to use the Obi Randle lineup, and he didn't go to it at all.
Yeah.
So I can acknowledge that he's doing it, but some of the times that he does it is just baffling. So baffling. But for Cam, look, I just want consistency because he's got the tools to be a top player.
Yeah.
No, to be a good player. I won't say top player. I'll just say a good player. Good player.
Because yesterday, as we saw, when he puts it all together as a two-way player, does Cam have the highest ceiling of all the Knicks young talent?
Of all of them?
Yeah.
I'd probably say yes. Of all of them? Yeah.
Now,
Cam makes me nauseous sometimes, especially on the offensive side of the basketball. But to answer your question, CP, if he put that all together, like what we saw in that third quarter yesterday, we know he can play defense. Offensively, the kid's got crazy talent. Now, are we going to see that every game? Are we going to see that every quarter? I don't know. But when he does, what he did in the third quarter, and you see that fluidity, and he can shoot and get to the rim and be a little George Gervin action at the rim.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, he definitely has it all. Now, will he put it all together? I don't know. He definitely probably has the most talent of the Knicks young core. But again, like anything in life, sometimes it's not all about talent. Sometimes you got to just be there mentally, work harder than everybody else. I'm not saying Cam does that or doesn't do that. I don't know. But talent-wise, he might have the most talent of the Knicks young players.
Definitely the highest ceiling on the team he puts all together. It's defensively, if he plays like that defensively all year, I think he's the best perimeter defender that we have and best switchable defender that we have too. Like hands down. Offensively, the way he's able to attack, yeah. If he could do that consistently, dude's unstoppable.
I did say that last year though. In my OB rant and diatribe that the fans has been unforgettable to all the fans. I did say.
Oh my!
I did
God.
say. See, this is the thing. You have experience.
You put Obi Toppin in the same sentence as Frank Knox.
No. This is the thing, and you could relate to this, right? Of course. You do a ton of shows, right? This is episode 40 of Knicks Weekly. We're almost on episode 40 at Knicks Post Game Live. Been doing this for over 5 years. You do a ton of shows with a ton of great takes, and you get no credit for it.
Right.
But the minute you say something controversial or something that people don't agree with,
it's remembered forever.
It's remembered forever, right? So now they got me on this Obi thing where they think I said that Obi sucks, right? And all this thing. And you got people on Twitter like adding him and everything, like trying to throw me on the bus. I don't even care. But in that rant, I did say that night that if Cam puts it together, he has a higher ceiling than Obi, and people thought I was crazy for it.
Well, here's the thing, CP.
No. That's fine. That's fine to say it. You legit put Obi Toppin in the same conversation as Frank Ntilikina and Kevin Knox, talent-wise. Just saying.
As asset management. We could agree to disagree on that. From an asset management standpoint.
People take some takes so serious. Like, for example, I tweeted. I usually don't delete my tweets because what's beef when you delete your tweets before you go to sleep? I usually don't delete tweets, but it was the night before the marathon, and I was getting added so much I had to delete a tweet where I said, RJ Barrett is not playing good basketball. I didn't say RJ sucked. I said he's not playing good basketball. It just so happened after I tweeted in the first quarter of the Celtics game, RJ Barrett plays really well in the second quarter, right?
Yeah.
And I'm getting crushed. And I said, I didn't say he stunk. I said he's not playing good basketball. That was a fact. That's like saying your hat is blue. It's a fact. And if it's red tomorrow, it's red tomorrow. So I said RJ Barrett was not playing good basketball, and then he played well in the second quarter. Okay, now he's playing good basketball. I didn't say he's never going to play good basketball. Yeah. So it's funny how people take these quotes sometimes. And, like, they don't forget. And Lord knows, I've been wrong on things, but God damn it, and I've been doing Knicks content since 2005. I have been right about a lot of things too. But no one's going to remember that.
No one does.
One of my worst takes of all time, though, and I don't know if anybody remembers it. It was in 2010. I might have tweeted it too. If I did, maybe you go find it. But I definitely said it on a show. It was around the Knicks-Bulls Christmas Day game in 2010. And I said that Landry Fields reminds me of Derek Jeter. He just does everything right.
But Landry had a good run for it.
But around that time, though, for that first 3 months of that season, he really did do everything right. And he had that game-winning 3 versus the Heat.
He did, man.
I guess it wasn't a horrible take. It just so happened as Landry kind of fell off when we got Carmelo.
You really liked that Modell's commercial, didn't you, with Landry Fields?
Oh,
he was in the Modell's commercial.
I remember that, man.
For a minute.
He was for literally a minute.
He's the assistant GM of the Hawks now.
Or is he the full GM?
I think he is. I think he is. Yeah, full GM of the Hawks.
Or it's either assistant or full, but he moved up the ranks very fast.
Yeah, he did. Very smart guy.
Yeah, good for him, man. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Al, you looking it up?
Yeah, I'm looking up right now.
All right, while we do that, let's get to the phones. Let's go to Ron from South Carolina. Ron, what's going on?
Man.
What's going
on, CP? What's going on, Alex?
What's good,
what up?
Man?
What's up?
Man, it's been a minute, but my eyes on the scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm looking at what I'm seeing, and I don't like it. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, I ain't hearing nobody giving that front office the blame like they're supposed to get, man. Yeah, Tom got some problems, too. But the people supposed to be making the food, hey, they're giving Tom food poisoning. These players on this team, man, we got a bunch of role players. And the biggest problem with any team, if you cannot stop the point of attack, at that crucial point, we having players doing what they want to do. They're breaking down the defense, players having to scramble to play help defense, you're in trouble once your point guard can't stop. And that's the thing. I like Brunson. Don't get me wrong. I like him. But he can't guard nobody.
Right. Yeah.
He can't guard nobody. He's constantly getting beat. And that's a problem. And this Knicks team, and everybody's been watching it, in order for us to beat teams, we have to outscore teams. That's the only way we're beating teams. It's not because of our defense, and we cannot guard the three-point line. Translation, it's going to be a long season. But what I got to say about that front office, CP, this is my problem with them. During this draft, they punted out of that draft, man. They punted out of that draft. It was reported so much that they had their eyes on Jaden Ivey. They tried to trade up to get him, couldn't get him. And they punted out of that draft. It is essentially saying that ain't nobody else that they see in this draft was worth putting on the Knicks uniform. And that's front office malpractice at its finest. And they did that so they could trade Kimba when they could have just waived him. That's mistake number one in the offseason. Second mistake in the offseason. You spent the whole time trying to trade for Donovan Mitchell. You didn't make that trade, and all the time went by. When that trade didn't go through, what happened? We was close to training camp. Ain't nobody trading with you, man. This front office has to go. Don't sell me on this front office, man, because when they came in, the slate was clean. They had money and they had picks. And this front office have been afraid to make moves. They don't know what they're doing, and they need to get out of town on the first thing smoking. And RJ better get it together because he's inconsistent. I can't put my money on RJ. I don't trust RJ. RJ is a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So, hey, he's shooting the free throw better, but he got to get consistent shooting the ball, and his defense is lackluster. RJ defense in year one was way better than what it is now. I don't know what's going on. He looked kind of heavy, like he be eating too much. So, hey, that's my word, man. Get the plan ready. I got it ready. Let's get him out of LaGuardia.
Let's go. Ron Cleveland, the return of Ron Cleveland, man. One of our OG callers, man. Good to hear from you, bro. I was just thinking about Ron the other day, man. It's good to hear from him. Yeah, Al, there was definitely some interesting picks in this draft that I look at like, damn, like, we could use him. Tari Eason.
Yeah.
We saw Jalen Williams yesterday.
Jalen Williams
playing well for
OKC.
Yeah.
That was definitely a weird draft night. One of the weirder ones, up there with trading Camby for Nene and the famous Zach Randolph trade draft night. And yeah, that was a weird draft last year.
Yeah. No question about it, man. All right, let's get to okay, we're gonna take one more call. Let's get to the closer, Jay Boogie in here. Jay Boogie, let's go.
Salute. 3 capital S's. Blessings. Help. Safety to everybody. Hope everybody had a marvelous weekend. I hope you treated yourself. You went to see Black Panther 2 or something. You rocked to the Nas album or something. The Giants is winning. Washington just knocked off the Eagles. Way to knock them off. Who would have thought the Giants at this moment right here, right now, be tied for the second best record in the league? Not the division, not the conference. In the league, we tied with Kansas. And guess what? Our roster ain't even straight yet. But the thing about the Giants right now, they play with heart. They play with consistency. They play with effort. They want it, and they got something to prove. And that's what we're not doing inside the Garden or out of the Garden on the road. We don't have no heart. We don't have no leadership. Nobody getting in nobody's face. Nobody holding nobody accountable. Everybody think this is cool. This is an easy ride. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not. When you go to Golden State, things ain't going right on that bitch. Draymond Green is in your face. When you go to Boston and things ain't going right, I don't care about you, Jason Taylor. Marcus Smart is in your face. Who is the captain on this team? Nobody pointing at nobody, telling nobody what they need to be doing when they ain't doing what they supposed to be doing. So I'm challenging everybody as far as they heart, they drive. We went to Minnesota and handled our business and came home and went to Brooklyn. So what, you live in New York? Y'all played like you drove your own car to Brooklyn and parked there on a parking meeting. Then you got up the next day and you're playing against a team that only won 2 games and you can't hold a court and make it up for what you just did in Brooklyn. That was a disgrace job. And you set an all-time record in the first quarter. You didn't defend nothing on our home court, man. Dudes need to start stepping up. People need to stop pointing fingers at everybody and start waking up in the morning when you're brushing your teeth and you look in the mirror. point the finger at yourself sometime, man. Say I'm the problem. I'm the reason why things ain't acting right. What am I going to do for the team? What am I going to do to change? What am I going to do for as my effort? What am I going to do when my player, he ain't playing up to par? You got to start pulling people coattails around here. And they go for everybody. I'm talking about everybody on the team. So, Leon, you need to start talking to Tom. Tom, you need to talk to the players. And players need to relate to what you're doing. If the players is not relating with Tom, then guess what? It's a problem between Tom and the player. There's something got to be divorced right there. I tell you what, we going to Utah right tomorrow. We got a game out there. Lose that game, I bet you James Dolan gonna come down there and knock on them doors. Because the Rangers ain't doing good, and I ain't got nothing else to, you know what I'm saying, to substitute what I got going on in guard. I'm okay with losing to the top-notch teams, you know what I'm saying, in the league. But when I started losing to the bums, I don't even call them bum night.
Yeah,
and when I started calling up at night, I'm glad CP cut the phone off. He didn't answer. Because I don't even have no business calling up on bum nights, but I was heated that much, you know what I'm saying? We need to get some things in the curve. Y'all messing up. I'm getting ready to drop this platinum album. What's wrong with y'all?
And Jay Boogie drops the mic. A pissed off Jay Boogie, ladies and gentlemen, man. Rate that call in the chat. That was nothing but fives for me, man. Throw some fire emojis in the chat. Jay Boogie was tight. We got to get Jay Boogie into the locker room for pregame speeches, man.
Yeah, for real.
He's
MSG,
the Ray Lewis that they need, bro.
Yeah.
He's the Ray Lewis that they need.
MSG, if you guys are listening, we got to get Jay Boogie into the locker room for the pregame speech. This team has no leadership, like he said. Right? Julius is sitting on the bench. He's meditating. He's not in the locker room. You know, Rose is doing his Tai Chi and stuff like that. We don't know what's going on, man. We need Jay Boogie in there to set these guys straight in the pregame. I think that's the answer. We've been talking about Thibs and Julius for an hour. Is Jay Boogie. Get Jay Boogie into the locker room and send him out west. Send him out west to Utah, and let's get it going, man. I think that's the answer, bro.
Look, man, I just need Jay Boogie to, he could probably help me get a job. He'll probably talk me up and be like, any job. Be like, yo, this guy, this
God.
Oh, man, real quick, Ed, you started all the show talking about your prep for the marathon, man. Last time we had you on here, you were talking, you were preparing.
Yes.
For 26 miles of pain. 26 and a half.
26.2.
26.2.
I guess 26 and a quarter.
26.2.
Yes.
Now, I saw you at mile 14.
Yep, that's where my day ended.
Halfway mark.
Literally ended, but
halfway mark,
yeah, so
man. Tell us
first
about
off, thank you for being out there, man. That meant the world to me, seeing you out there, and I saw so many friends out there, including so many followers also. And miles one, and I trained for it. I did a 20-mile run, 18-mile run, numerous, 13 to 15-mile runs. Mm-hmm. Now the weather was hot, it was humid, it was sticky,
yeah.
It was wet. It was not ideal running conditions at all. And when I saw you at mile 14, I was feeling great. Mm-hmm. I was in a groove. My pace around that time was about 9 minutes and 30 seconds per mile. Mm-hmm. And then, now obviously I knew eventually I was going to hit some sort of wall. I don't know if you've probably driven over the Queensboro Bridge a million times. Have you ever walked over it?
No, but from other people I speak to about the marathon, I've heard that it is painful.
So if the marathon started there, it'd be fine. So now you're on mile 14, and then you hit the Queensboro Bridge. Bro, there's no aid stations. There's no water. It's the lower level, and it is you didn't realize, you kind of noticed it from the FDR, how long the Queensboro Bridge is. It's a 2-mile incline. 2 miles of just incline.
That's crazy.
And people were walking. People were just straight up stopped. People were throwing up. People were just, that one roadway on the side, people were just hanging out there. They couldn't do it anymore. They couldn't. I tell you, my goal was to run, and I'm not faulting anybody that ever stopped, took a break, to walk. Nothing wrong with it. But my goal was to run every second of this race in honor of my sister, who she never quit, and I never stopped on the bridge. And when I knew First Avenue was coming, I'm like, I'll get a second win. And I got over the bridge and I got to First Avenue, and the crowd on First Avenue was like an NBA Finals game. It was wild. Honestly, guys, I never got that second win. I never felt again the rest of the race what I felt from miles 1 to 14. So now I'm on mile 16. And I'm like, I got nothing. But I got 10 miles to go. So now, and not to get all like emotional and all that stuff, that's where it all became mental. It's like, do you want to finish this? It's all mental now. 1 to 14 was physical. 14 to 26.2 was mental. And I kept going and going. And then you still got the 149th Street Bridge, hill. Then you still got the Madison Avenue Bridge, hill. Then you're going down 5th Avenue, 3 miles in Central Park, which is all hills. And then sure enough, I made it. I never stopped once. I grabbed waters every chance I get. I never stopped. I ran the entire 26.2 miles. I never stopped once, bro. And I did it. I crossed the finish line and I was like, yo, I really just ran not just any marathon, the New York City Marathon. And then like you see it, what all these like big time runners were saying. It was the worst, probably the worst conditions ever for a marathon.
Yeah, I kept hearing that. I kept hearing people saying like the weather, it was too hot.
The dude that was in first place passed out at mile 21.
Yeah, he collapsed. Yep.
I saw a lot of bodies down on that race. And I said, that's not going to be me. And I finished it. I finished it in 5 hours and 10 minutes, 12 minutes, some shit. I finished it. I never stopped running and I did it. I really ran the New York City Marathon. I'm still on cloud 9, man.
Yeah.
I mean, to go from where my life's been the last 3 years and how out of shape I was 6 months ago. I mean, it's crazy, but I did it, man. It just shows, man, you have if you want to put your mind to something, like, listen, if I put my mind to it, I can't make the NBA, but like, something like this, like I put my mind to it and I busted my ass for 6 months and I did it. And I raised almost $7,000 for to help families with kids that have children's brain cancer. So man, I just, what an experience, and it made it even better because of how hard it was.
Nah, that's dope, man, and it's a testament to your determination, your perseverance. You dedicated it to your sister, the journey that it took, to preparation. That's a major thing, man. That's a major accomplishment that you did, man. So, yeah, we definitely proud of you, man. And it was great seeing you out there at mile 14.
It's just so funny to go from, because like I said, the wall happened, a half a mile later?
Yeah.
So, to see you, and I'm like, yo, CP, what up, what up, what up? And then all of a sudden, like, life just happened a half a mile later.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, when people always tell me that the 59th Street Bridge is pain. And so when I saw you and everybody in that group, everybody seemed like they in a jovial mood and, they high-fiving each other. I'm like, yeah, they about to run into some ish right there. It's mile 14, too. You're halfway there.
Now, I saw people hit the wall in Brooklyn, but for the most part, from the Verrazano to Brooklyn to even across the Cazziaco Bridge, everybody was happy. From miles 14 to 26.2, ain't nobody was happy. Nobody. Including myself.
Yeah.
I was miserable the last 10, 11 miles. Miserable. But here's the thing, y'all. Is it supposed to be easy? This is a New York City Marathon.
Yeah.
Who would ever say, yo, I did the New York City Marathon. Yo, that shit was easy. It's supposed to be hard. Now, did I think it was going to be that hard? I did not. But now that I think about it, like, yeah, man, that's supposed to be hard.
Yeah. So what you saying? You do another one?
I'm committed to doing it next year already.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Let's go.
Yeah. My goal for next year is to one, improve my time, which I will. But my goal for next year is to enjoy the last 10 miles.
Okay.
I just got to figure out, like, if it means now next year I plan on probably being another 20 pounds lighter. As long as I stay the shape I'm in now, between now and April, and then turn it up when the spring comes, I'm going to be faster. I'm going to be leaner. I really just want to enjoy the last 10 miles or hit the wall with 5 miles left. That's my goal for next year. I'm probably not going to win the race.
Baby steps, man. Baby steps.
Yeah, my goal is I want to enjoy the last 10 miles. Because I'll tell you, miles 1 to 14 was lit. Bro, running through Brooklyn, I mean, yo, the crowd, especially in Brooklyn, it was more of like a blue-collar crowd.
Yeah.
Bro, that was fun.
Yeah.
Like the crowd's going, and blue collar people, and regular folks.
Yeah.
Cheering you on. Like these people really cared.
That's dope, man.
And you saw it. You saw
it.
Yeah.
Even when we were at the crowd was it was a very just a dope mix of people, man.
Have you ever experienced it?
So my uncles ran a couple. So I'm used to like going out there and supporting them. Yeah. Some of my cousins have ran in it as well, man. So yeah. Definitely used to go out there.
I'm running through the city. I'm running through, starting in Staten Island. And you mentioned all walks of people. I mean, you see black, you see white, you see Asian, Dominican, Puerto Rican, everything, every nationality you see. And I'm running through the city, and I said to myself, imagine not being from New York.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I saw you tweet that. I did see you tweet that.
Imagine like not being from here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like being from our area, whether it's not just New York City, just the tri-state area. I won't just say the five boroughs. Long Island, parts of Jersey, West. Like imagine not being from this area, man. You saw everything on that race, bro. And that's what makes the city so beautiful.
That's dope, man. So next year it is, bro.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it next year.
Next year it is, man. We'll definitely wish you a lot of luck. But like I said, man, we proud of you. Job well done. And we'll catch up at the Garden, man. Great show, Al. Great show, Ant. Great show, Chuck D in the chat. Great show, all the mods, Edgar, Lash, TM, everybody in the chat, John Talento. Salute to the Giants, as Jay Boogie said. 1 game out of the East. Now we got to see the Eagles, and we got to beat the Eagles. You know what I'm saying? But it's looking like the Giants are headed full steam ahead to the playoffs, which is crazy. But I'm happy to see that, man. So I got to pull up.
Can I say one company man thing real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw a lot of tweets over the last few days talking about the kid stuff and the organization doesn't care. The people that do the clothes and the marketing and the kid stuff have nothing to do with people making trades.
Yeah.
All teams eventually will partner with a brand to make some doper clothes. So that has, I just want to say, and the clothes are fire, by the way.
Yeah, fire.
But that has nothing to do with whether the team's playing good or not. Like, it's 2022. I'm sure you'll see other teams partner with other big brands. So, you got Boss making NBA clothes. So don't be if you want to kill the Knicks on the court, fine. And I know I'm being a company man right now, but don't be killing Knicks marketing people because they got some cool ideas to make some dope clothes.
That was a good idea.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's 2022. Don't be killing those people that work really hard, who are friends of mine, working really hard to make something like the KISS stuff.
Yeah.
That's got nothing to do with happening on the court. I just want to put that out there. I saw a lot of tweets today and yesterday talking about the correlation between like the KISS stuff or like the Knicks clothing stuff and wins and losses. It got zero to do with each other. If you don't want the clothes, don't get the clothes. But they got nothing to do with each other. Just wanted to say that. And by the way, if we're gonna lose, goddamn, I'm gonna look good.
Yeah, right. Might as well. Might as well. I actually like those black jerseys, though. I actually like.
Yeah, no, they're cool. Just, like I said, the two got nothing to do with each other. It's got Ronnie Feigate making trades.
True indeed, man.
You're making swag.
Shout out to the Ride Man, Chuck D, man. $5 super chat. He says we have to understand. I don't think Cam has ever played 40 straight games ever. NCAA was splintered. AAU. This is his first opportunity at going at it. Shout out to Brandon Guest, $10 super chat says, since we need talent and only get it through the trade/draft, would it behoove the Knicks to pivot towards a lottery? If so, I would keep Thibs and Tank. Wouldn't want Brian to be given the Jock Vaughn treatment. Yeah, it definitely behooves them to jump into the lottery. That's just they need talent. They need top end talent. Wayne Higgs, shout out to Wayne, man. Wayne came with us to our opening night event, and he was at 40-40 as well. He says, relax, y'all. Knicks will go 4-1 on this road trip. Okay.
Oh!
Hey, Wayne feeling the vibes.
Where does Wayne live?
Hey.
I'm not sure.
If they go 4-1, I will give him 2 tickets to a game.
Hey, Wayne. Well, he's local. He's definitely local. So, Wayne, you heard the man.
If the Knicks go 4-1 on this trip, he got 2 tickets to the Hawks game.
Okay.
On December 7th.
All right, so Wayne, if you're listening, man, hit up Anthony, man. He's a man of his word.
They got to go 4-1 though.
4-1 on the road trip.
I may even make an exception for 3-2. But 4-1, you got 2 tickets to the Knicks Hawks game. They go 4-1.
All right, There you go, Wayne. And Glenn Wick in the chat sends a super chat, says CP Anthony looks like a young Thibs.
I mean, Thibs is a stud right now. Thibs with the beard.
He said you Thibs Jr., bro.
Thibs with the beard. Definitely like eating at some restaurants with some joints, watching game film.
Yeah, no doubt. Anyway, man, great show.
Although we're just now watching film on defending the 3.
Yeah, that's
a fact.
That's a fact. A cold hard fact, man. But anyway, great show, everybody, man. Tomorrow night, Knicks take on the red hot Western Conference best Utah Jazz, man.
Who would have
thought we'd be saying that?
By the way,
yeah.
So like you see this coconut water. Mm-hmm. If Danny Ainge said to me, Ant, I really need this coconut water, he ain't getting it. I don't trust Danny Ainge. You feel me?
Of course.
The dude just knows what he's doing.
Yo,
that's what I'm saying.
He got that job for a reason, man. Danny knows what time it is, man. Remember that the show is available in audio podcast format, man. All the major podcast platforms. So if you miss it on video, you can always catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the major podcast platforms. The show is presented by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Enter promo code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night, man. Knicks versus the Jazz. Let's get this W, man. Let's get back on track. Will Thibs last? We'll see, man.